Hello, everyone.
How's it
How's it
going?
going?
Doing
I'm
good.
Ricky Pitt. We have Royce here in the building. We have Demarcus. We're waiting on Mike. Welcome. This is AFP, the Alternative Football Panel. This is our first episode, and we're here to have a good time tonight. We're here to talk the upcoming UFL season. It's right around the corner. And in case you've been living under a Dwayne Johnson, some new teams, some new coaches, and a lot going on. So hopefully we have our other team member coming soon.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm excited for the year. It's going to be a fun year. Definitely a different UFL this season.
definitely a lot more buzz around it than we're used to.
True.
I think Rapoli has done a good job. If he's done anything, he's added some juice to this league. I
Yeah.
mean, and you can feel it. Like they say, it's palpable. But
They're
I'm hearing
also it
people.
seems like they're a lot more on social media now, ESPN. I mean,
Local
it's really
news.
starting to go everywhere.
Even
Yep.
local news. I mean, I've seen Neuheisel on local news a lot. I mean, I think
Mhm.
Stoops may have been on there a couple of times last year, but Neuheisel seems like every other week or something like that, he's making an appearance somewhere.
That's awesome.
So we got Mike with us now. Mike, you hear us?
Yep. Can you everybody hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Gotcha.
All right. First and foremost, let me apologize for my late appearance. I was busy sharing it out. This is a new project, a new concept that we just launched. I would like to welcome everybody to the premiere episode of the Alternative Football Panel. What this is during the course of my journeys covering social media, spring and alternative football, I've run into quite a lot of interesting people, a lot of knowledgeable people, and I wanted to share some of their knowledge and some of their experiences with them. So we've created this show as a way to do that. And let me introduce our producer, the birthday boy, Rick 8-Bit. He'll be handling all the graphics and all the uh, different segments that we're doing and keeping us on a tight watch. We don't want to spend too long on one subject. Next up, we have Royce, aka Viking Wax Press. He's a leading content creator and historian for all spring football, not just the UFL. Also, Demarcus Colors, who's a uh, season ticket member for the Dallas Renegades. I believe 3 years now. Is that correct? 3 years is.
I've been going to the Renegades games ever since they came back in 2020.
Yeah,
Wow.
and he's been a credentialed media member. He's covered the Dallas slash Arlington Renegades for the Alternative Football Network for the last 3 seasons. So I'm going to jump it back to Rick and let him finish where he was at, so we can get going.
We're ready to go. We were just talking about how Rapoli has really changed everything, and kind of leads to our first subject, the Rapoli report. So, Mike, take it away.
Yeah, recently Mike Rapoli has been he's been active on Twitter. He's been engaging with fans, and he asked everybody, uh, tell us what you want to hear, like it, dislike it, we're listening. And I think that was a great opportunity for some of us to make our voices heard. So I want to ask you guys, things you like, dislike, or things that you feel like Mr. Rapoli and the UFL needs to hear from us. And I'll let Rick go first, then Royce, and then Demarcus.
So I am an avid hat collector. You couldn't tell tonight by my partially bald head. I love hats, and I love how they were posting some really cool hats and the training camps and everything. And then you go to UFL shopping, there I can't find them. And then what kind of was rubbing salt in the wounds was you had former coach of the Bucks, Gruden, get a box of hats. I'd love to buy a hat, but I can't find them. So, but I think they're doing a really good job. I think they're really getting everyone invested, and I'm intrigued to see how it does on Friday night, coming across with the product.
Yeah, some people were getting them online from Walmart. Maybe not the best quality, but at $20 for a hat from Walmart that's branded UFL, and you're getting it faster than you were from the UFL shop. Demarcus, like, dislike, and things that you would like Mr. Rapoli to know from us.
Yeah, before you hopped in, we were talking about just the juice that the league has this year. I think that that's something that we probably have not felt since the merger. I think back then everybody was just every week we were wanting to know what was coming out. And I think last year would have been the second year. I think that excitement kind of dipped down, but Rapoli by himself seems to have added that missing juice back. And one of the things I can say about him is he seems to understand that sometimes even negative press is still good press. I think that's a Vince thing. Vince saw that even bad press was good press to a degree, right? So you'll see Rapoli kind of getting into Twitter wars with people or X wars. I don't know what they would call them now, but you see him get into these little spats, with the Birmingham fans and stuff like that. All that stuff does is it keeps the UFL as a topic of discussion. And some of the people don't realize that that's what he's doing, but it kind of is. And I think the UFL needed a front guy who seemed like he kind of ate and slept and breathed UFL football, which I don't think we really necessarily had before. I don't think I would complain very much about something that I dislike because I kind of want to let Rapoli kind of bake. Other than those Birmingham uniforms, kind of don't really have anything to complain about.
Yeah.
Right on. So we're going to jump real quick to Royce, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to introduce these guys a little bit better. But we've got plenty of time to get to know all these guys individually. They're all great content creators for social media, not just spring football, but specifically spring football is what we're going to focus on. Royce, what's your like, dislike, and things you would like Mr. Rapoli to know about the UFL and its fans?
The main thing I want him to know is that engagement-wise, he is just way up here compared to where The Rock was last couple years. So I love it, and I think it's healthy for the league. I don't always align with his vision of the league, but I respect him for his promotion of the league in general, and he's done a great job just pushing it out to the forefront of people's minds and eyes, and you can't really complain about any of that. As a UFL fan who wants the league to continue, if he continues at this pace, it will.
Definitely. And they actually outlaid some money. Some of these artists are commanding just for appearances anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million just for their appearance. It doesn't include production and things of that nature. So it looks like Mr. Rapoli, he's opening up the wallet, and he's probably going to shell out between $8 to $10 million just for this opening weekend.
Man.
Now, do you know if he's coming out of pocket on that, or I mean, you got to all the people together.
Oh yeah, he's and that rolls us right into the next one, halftime performer. So to answer to Marcus, yeah, I think he's actually spending the money. He's obviously spent the money for these artists. He's getting, he's doing interviews. I think at one of the shows on ESPN, he'd been there 3 times since he'd been announced as the owner. As far as coming out of pocket, I'm sure he's working sponsorship deals with, Noble and things of that nature. So he's kind of moving things around a little bit, but he's actually getting the interest going and where it needs to be for the UFL. These aren't, top billing artists, but they're well known and they're a name. They'll definitely attract people, especially like in St. Louis, Nelly in St. Louis. Come on.
Right.
Specific thoughts, many of you guys, any of you can take this on halftime performers, like, dislike. Me personally, I've heard 3 or 4 of the guys. Ty Myers, I'm not familiar with. I don't listen to that genre of music, unfortunately, but Wale, Gucci Mane, Nelly, obviously. Some of those guys are a little bit more well known. So give me your thoughts on those halftime performers, if you will.
Hey, Mike, I don't have a halftime performer here, but I do have a zombie I'm going to add in.
Hey!
All right.
Happy birthday.
That's better than
Thank
any
you, sir.
halftime performance right there.
I know, right? It was perfect timing.
Nice.
I wanted him to do his the same intro he does for the videos.
I know. I was just thinking that.
Do it. Come on, Zom. Come on.
Hey guys, Zom Fox here, and today we are here with the first episode of the new show. We got DeMarcus, Royce, XO Mike G, and Rick all here, and yeah, it's pretty cool being here.
Nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. And like I was telling the guys and people who are watching, I've gotten to meet a lot of great content creators and people who actually know what they're talking about, who do the work and the research, and guys like Zom and Royce. To have these conversations finally come out and talk about some of the things that we chatted about for 2 or 3 years now was very exciting to me, and it was an opportunity to give you guys a platform. So we talked about Mr. Rapoli's tweets, and I know Zom's he's going to be loaded for this one. Likes, dislikes, and things you would like Mr. Rapoli to know about UFL and its fans. Zom.
All I know with Rapoli is I'll give him his flowers. Like the Houston Gamblers changes have been really nice. Changing the kickoff time of the Easter game, moving it back a few hours, putting the 2 games on NFL Network instead of having one of them being stuck on ESPN Plus. I mean, hey, he may be a hater to the Stallions, but he's done some good things so far.
Yeah.
And then shelling out all the money for the halftime performers. I mean, that's pretty good.
Hey, I'll take
we
Stallions any day.
Now, and Snap Decision, which is a new podcast from the Horns Forward guys and My Panther Pride, sorry. They had a show yesterday. They had their first show, and they were talking about some of these halftime performers. And their conclusion was like, if they got all these guys for opening weekend, who's going to be halftime for the the championship game, the UFL championship game? Who guys, just random, who would you like to see at the UFL championship game halftime show?
Is Run DMC available? Because that's my era right there, but I doubt Run DMC is going to show up.
I think
maybe Rapoli
I think
could,
Run DMC
pony up some cash and get a Taylor Swift.
Wow. I think you got a better chance of Travis Kelce playing in the UFL in 2 or 3 years than you do of Taylor Swift working at a halftime show for the UFL. It'd be a great grab, but she's a multi-billion-dollar artist. She's not going to come down this. But that'd be interesting. Now, that would be interesting. I'm sure the NFL haters that can't stand to see Taylor Swift would love that. All right, moving on. Again, this has been a big topic off season with pretty much all social media content creators for spring and alternative football. And we're no different. We actually ran a project called the Expansion Project, where we started with 50 different cities, and we whittled it down. It kind of got put on the back burner with the relocation of San Antonio, Memphis, and Michigan. But with that tweet, it kind of renewed a spark. Guys, just first impression when you see that tweet about expansion, 4 teams by 2030, what are your thoughts?
I love it. If he backs it up, it's great. And I do think some of those Michigan people are going to be happy if he brings Michigan back. Some of them won't, because some of them just feel like their bridge is burned. But I do think a big chunk of them will come back and watch the Panthers. And I think there's also some other teams like the Breakers that might come back, because I'm a huge New Orleans Breakers guy. So if he brings those teams back, that's a huge start. There you go.
Yeah. We're all got the torches lit for our former cities, Zom in Michigan and me in San Antonio. And we're always going to keep our torch lit and keep those memories alive. But let me throw this question at you. If some of these former USFL and XFL cities return, but with different mascots, different team names, how would you feel? Let's say they put a team in Philadelphia, but they don't call them the Stars. Your reactions, guys.
I think that'd be a big mistake. I mean, I think that'd be a pretty bad call to do. I think that for the Orlando Storm, I think it's okay, because I don't think too many people respectfully are upset about the Guardians not coming back. I think most people view them as a New York team before Orlando. But especially for the modern, like the 2023 USFL and XFL teams, man, I mean, you want to be able to say my team might come back. And if you end up doing like a New Orleans, I don't know, just New Orleans Waves instead of Breakers, I know it's similar, but if you do that, I think that, it's going to be kind of hurtful, because then the Seattle people are going to be like, I guess we're never getting the Dragons back.
Right. Yeah. And I'm a big
Yeah,
fan
I
of
say that.
striking the iron while it's hot. I mean, go with the established brand, especially in case of, like you said, Michigan, New Orleans, Seattle. These were fan bases that, I mean, I know the XFL would have kept Seattle if it weren't so geographically isolated, because that was one of the top markets there. So if you go back to those markets, I think you got to resurrect the brand that was already making inroads there.
I think it
I
also
agree.
varies too. Like, I'm close to New York, so you have multiple options. I mean, you're not going to bring back the Hitman, but with the Guardians, you have it being a new soccer stadium. It does look like they did try catering some of the teams to what they had available with the stadiums, like the Gamblers. You have Shell Stadium with the red, Louisville with the green. You have the Storm, the purple. So it also depends on too where they're able to get into a stadium. They have to change their colors if it reflects the team. That might actually help them.
Yeah, and the reason why I bring that up is because there's been this slow deterioration of former XFL teams and USFL teams. Birmingham Stallions is one of the few franchises that still exist, but they don't look anything like they did in the USFL. So it seems like Rapoli's putting a stamp on this, and it seems like he maybe should listen to the fans a little bit and get their input before making such drastic changes. That uniform that Birmingham ended with, yeesh.
I like the helmet though. I got to say, I'm a fan of the helmet.
I do like the helmet. I do like the helmet. I wasn't a fan at first of Birmingham in general, just because they're Birmingham, but I did like that helmet. But yeesh, that jersey. I'm sorry. Let's get off topic. Let's roll on to the next topic unless somebody's got a comment on that one.
I was going to say that uniform almost worked. It almost did. If you can think of the Washington Redskins, sort of the throwback uniform with the spear helmet, where it's got the maroon helmet and the maroon shirt. If they had kind of gone that route, that uniform actually would have worked pretty nice.
I agree with that 100%. That dark color works well, and they're trying to get away from the monochromatic, but that in that case, that dark deep red with that colored helmet would work really, really well. Local players, I think. Royce, have we worked on that segment, or are we skipping that one?
Well, I was going to just mention it because I think there's a few things about, I guess, unanswered questions that I kind of want to just raise the question on, of guys that were in the league over the last few years that seem to have just dropped off of the radar, and not necessarily in a way that they should have dropped off the radar. And I'm talking about guys like Boogie Roberts and Matt Coughlin, Chris Odom, Jamar Smith, Breland Speaks, Frank Ginda, Isaiah Henney, Matt Mingle, Brad Wing, Jaron Horton, even coaches. So there are people that I think were missed, maybe on purpose missed. And that's what I don't know. And the unknown bugs me. So I just kind of wanted to bring it up because all of these are fan favorites who I think a lot of us would like to see back. And none of us know why they're not back. And I just wanted to at least bring that up because it seems like a elephant in the room that isn't being talked about. And I just would love the UFL to acknowledge it and say, hey, we didn't look at these guys for X reason. And a lot of it may be due to age, but I want to know if that's the case. Just tell me. And because there are guys that are older that they did bring back. So where was the line drawn and why? Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And again, that's the lack of communication that we're talking about with the UFL. It's not so much specific transactions and things of that nature. It's like with San Antonio. Yes, we pieced together what happened and why the Brahmas are no longer a franchise. You've got to kind of put together tweets and kind of get together with one or two tweets here and there and put that together. I think what it was coming from with Rapoli is that he had mentioned in an interview, or kind of off the cuff or offhandedly, that they wanted to, we don't want players that are going to be in the league 3 or 4 years. We want, players that are here 1 year and gone. So I think that there was an intended movement towards younger players with more potential upside, guys that are closer to being on the practice roster as opposed to coming from a practice roster 2-3 seasons ago. So I think that's where the move is.
Play devil's advocate. Look at Jordan Tiamo. He was with St. Louis Battlehawks back in 2020. Look at Luis Perez. He was with the New York Guardians back in 2020. Yet these guys are now in their 6th season. So
Yeah. And
Just saying.
the last sentence I was going to add on that was it's also team's preference as well. So some of those players not coming back is probably going to be part of that staff looking at things in a new way. And some of those coaches are new as well. But you could put together an all UFL team with some of the players that were left off, and hopefully we'll see them back. Hopefully they'll through the course of injuries or whatever how it happens during the season, we'll see some of those players get another opportunity and come back.
Yeah,
And
to
if not,
Rick's,
I would
go ahead,
Marcus.
Go ahead, Royce.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say to Rick's point about guys kind of being one and done. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've kind of heard Rick Neuheisel. He seems to be kind of walking that back a little bit. I've heard him and maybe one other person when they're interviewed say things like some of these guys want to get back into the NFL, but some of them don't. Maybe they just want to play here. And that's not something that you were hearing at first. It was like, we want guys in, we want to get them out. But now I think they kind of have heard that, no, the fans kind of like their team stars. They like that guy that they recognize from last year and the year before. So if some of those guys want to come and just be career UFL players, I think they're a little more open to that than they had been when Repoli kind of first started talking about it.
Yeah, I know DC was like a pretty good example of that. Because when I was talking to Teamo, like he mentioned that like all the guys wanted to come back for that team to try and run it back. It didn't sound like they wanted guys to just leave to go to the NFL. They wanted them to come back to the team and hated losing some of those guys like Anthony Hines to the Gamblers and all that.
Yeah.
So that kind of moves us on to our roster moves. We can kind of continue this conversation along those lines with the roster moves. Any moves that you're surprised at, shocked at, things of that nature? Who wants to go first?
Battlehawk's cutting Freedom was a big shock to me. I was very shocked to see him. He's been there since 2023. Yep. So for all intents and purposes, he's a lifelong Battlehawk. I didn't like that move.
Yeah, that hurt.
Yeah, and we'll see. I think it was Zom that said 20% of the guys cut the first or the final cut end up coming back and getting re-signed either due to injury or attrition or anything else like that. So we'll see some of these guys, but the question is, do guys like Chris Odom or Boogie Roberts come back? I would love to see those guys get another opportunity.
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you see Lucky Jackson's back in the league, so, I mean, who knows?
Never say never.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the big ones that kind of surprised me was James Robinson not making the Kings, and that I thought, boy, there's a guy who was so good in the NFL for a brief little bit, and I don't know if he never recovered from his injury enough to be able to play at full speed again or what happened there, but I thought he could make this team, but for whatever reason they cut him last minute.
I might be wrong, but did James Robinson sign with the Falcons recently now because of everything? Or am I thinking of a different player?
Brian Robinson did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What I was going to say too, to your point, Royce, is some of these guys are still getting over injuries, maybe suffered in training camp, so they're not on the active roster until they're healed up. The defensive back O'Neal for Houston, when he was first cut, I was like, why is he cut? But then I found out later he had a hamstring, I believe, where he had some injury. They're waiting for him to heal before they're going to re-sign him and bring him back.
No, DC is.
There you go, DC.
Yeah.
He was previously with Houston. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's all these shuffling. Has that thrown off anybody? How do you guys feel about this constant turnover on the rosters?
It's hard to keep track of, but it's, I track all the rosters, and so it's just been a busy off season for me because I'm tracking all the moves and it's hard to keep up with, but I do think it definitely shakes things up. And whether that's good or bad, I don't know. And the crazy thing is, like, DC was somehow, in spite of a complete redraft, able to keep their core team intact, but all of the other teams did not, for the most part. So it'll be really, it makes it hard to predict at first. But PSA for everybody out there who bets, first couple weeks, bet defense, bet the under, because first couple weeks of the UFL, it's always going to be defensive. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that'll still hold true with these changes that are being made to the rule book, like the 1 foot inbound, the 4-point field goal, things of that nature? Because Rapoli's on record as saying, I don't want to see a 16-9 game. That's why they've added some of these rule changes. Yeah, and I'm still old school. I still like the old defensive struggle, because you appreciate defensive plays because your team has to keep making those defensive plays. So I don't mind a defensive struggle now and again.
Yeah. Never forget last year's Stallions Renegades game.
Yeah, that they hosed us on. Don't even talk to me about that. Yeah. But no, Mike, you do bring up a good point with that, though, because I think that 1 foot that'll kind of balance out some of that sluggish start that we see at the beginning of every single spring year, because those offensive lines haven't gelled yet. You have to be realistic about like how big your brand. So if it's going to be a 30-20 kind of shootout every single week, that's at least enough to keep people interested. Yeah. And then you have highlights, you got plays, so things that you can kind of.
But that's also what's something from us.
So when the league brought back the Breakers in 2022, I loved it. I did get to go see a Seattle Dragons game in 2020 when they played the Renegades, and that was pretty awesome. So I've just loved spring football ever since the 80s, and am a huge proponent of it. I think the players have more passion than the NFL. Maybe not as much talent, but honestly, if you ask me to pair up some of those 80s teams, I'd match them against some lower end NFL teams. So, but now it's a little different. But as far as the NFL goes, I'm a Vikings guy. Always been a Vikings fan since 1974, and always will be. They're my team. I'm also a Blazers fan, Portland Blazers, since I'm a Portland guy. So those are my teams.
So I know you're pulling for the Breakers to come back either in New Orleans or in Portland. You kind of hedging your bets a little bit there.
I'd actually prefer them to go to New Orleans because I think it's a better market. And Definitely. I hate to say that because I would be at every single.
And I got a new series starting tomorrow, so just be on the lookout for that. Cool. So,
things of that nature. Our final panelist of the night, en español, por favor, Mr. DeMarcus Colors.
Hey, I'm off work, man.
World of the UFL, everybody's picking Stallions. Everybody's picking the Stallions in this. I kind of want to, but I don't know if the Kings have enough to upset the Birmingham Stallions. I think the Birmingham Stallions have enough returners to overcome their lack of coaching experience. But I'm going to turn this over to Royce. Royce is kind of our resident Birmingham Stallions coverage. So, Royce, take it away.
Yeah, I'll tell you why the Stallions are going to win. Their roster is deep. I mean, and not that the Kings don't have a great roster. They've got Lucky Jackson and guys like Benny Snell, Jaden Sheridan, and they've got Jalen Allen at the edge. And he's awesome. I mean, I watched him last year for the Showboats. He was great. Cam Dantzler. But they can't match with guys like Deion Kane. They've got Justin and John Ross and Jaden Mickens at receiver. They're a receiving team so deep. And then QB, they've got Corral returning. They've got Anthony McFarland, who to me is probably a top 3 running back in the UFL. And then they still have their defense is pretty solid, especially at linebacker. They've got Tate Crowder, Kiava Tizino. They do lose some depth at D-line this year. Their O-line is solid. They've got Amani Taylor Prelude, Zach and Noah Johnson, Mason Brooks from DC. So they're stacked. Offensive wise, they're going to roll. I just think until they hit DC, they're going to be great. But their coaching is a question, but they're also going to be going against a team where the coaching is a question. So I think they win that coaching matchup just by roster depth this week.
Yeah, and it's like part of me wants to root for the Kings just because, it's Birmingham. But I just don't have enough faith I'm looking for one upset. There's going to be one upset this weekend, and I wanted to put it on the Kings, but I can't go with the Kings this year. This week, Demarcus. What are your thoughts on this game?
Louisville game, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I second what you guys are saying. I don't know enough about Louisville to outright pick them. It could be a shocker. I mean, they could surprise us, but I can't pin that on anything in particular. I mean, Birmingham that's a scary team. I mean, would you have like 4 wide receivers there? Each of them could be probably a number 1 or number 2 on another team. I mean, Deion Kane and what's the other guy you guys got that threw a shoe at the television when I learned?
Oh, David Davis probably.
David Davis.
Yeah.
Why are they allowed to be on the same team?
I know. Yeah, it's just deep.
Yeah, but I mean, I got my eye on Birmingham, and I think they right now they're one of those teams that's good on paper, but
Right.
You never know how things actually play out because all these guys have pride. I mean, those guys in Louisville might show Birmingham something just because nobody's going to pick them.
Yeah.
They might be like Orlando was.
I think
against
it's
DC.
also you're gonna have a packed crowd, and if you look at every time there's a packed stadium, it really does help the home team. So this is going to be it's new and exciting for Louisville. So I think it's almost a chip on your shoulder. You have your whole stadium packed, and yes, like you said, it's 2 different coaches who are first starting, but look at every time there's been a home field advantage. I mean, the records show usually the home teams win. So I think the attendance is really going to help them in this.
All I can say is if they lose, Louisville fans, don't give up hope. Stay with it because it's still a great team. Like it's got stars on it, and just go to watch the other teams if anything. Because I love that they showed up for it. I think that's a cool move, moving from Memphis. Even though I hated Memphis leaving as a Showboats fan, I love that they have more fans in Louisville who are ready for it. And so, props to you.
And speaking of Showboats, that Showboats team they did beat Birmingham last year. So
True.
I mean, you got a lot of those Showboats guys on Louisville.
Well, there you go. But Rick might be vindicated after all.
We'll see.
But now I had originally thought I took all that into consideration, and I was just like, you know what, Birmingham is just going to roll. And so my next question was, what do you think the point differential is going to be between the two? Who wins and by how much?
If you're asking me, I'm going about Stallions by 18. I think it's going to be probably something more like 27-9 kind of game. But we'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
the lack of depth at Stallions D may surprise people because that may be Benny Snell and Jason Bean breakthrough for some long runs, and who knows what happens. So,
yeah, I see it along those lines as well. Final thoughts on this game, you guys, before we move on to the next one.
Kings by 2.
Kings by 2 with the upset. Kings by 4 with a 60-yard plus field goal to end the game. How about that?
Nice. Yeah.
All right. Game 2. This I think personally this is the biggest rivalry in spring football right now. Your thoughts on this game, guys?
I think it's going to be a huge battle. I love both teams, but in the end, I'm going to be covering the Battlehawks as well. So Stallions and Battlehawks are going to be my teams I'm covering. I can't give it to the Battlehawks because the defenders are intact and experienced, and just the way they have that same coaching crew that won the championship last year. So they really haven't, I mean, they've lost a few big pieces, but their core is intact and their mentality is intact. That's the big thing. They've got the same, I guess, drive and us against them mentality that they've always had. And I think they're going to take that and say, hey, we want to show everybody that we are defending champs for a reason, and just go out there and battle for the win. Battlehawks are great, but it's going to be tough to beat the defenders at all this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a slugfest. I think with A.J. Smith rolling out that offense. A.J. Smith is super aggressive with that offense. As long as St. Louis has the defense, they might be able to stay into it. But if that offense isn't clicking, DC could roll. You never know. DeMarcus, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, that's always the thing with St. Louis. They're that team that always has a lot of potential. You think they're gonna possibly go all the way every year, but they hit a snag somewhere. So DC, we know what DC is. St. Louis, I think, is gonna have to maybe take a game or so to try to figure out exactly what they're gonna want to be. A just got to install his new offense. So I mean, if this had been a different team, if this was St. Louis versus maybe Orlando or something like that, I might go ahead and give it to St. Louis. But I think this is going to be a pretty big. It's a pretty tall ask for them to just to beat DC right out of the gate like that. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a battle, and I'm looking forward to it. That's to me, this is the biggest rivalry game in the UFL and in spring football. Rick, you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, piggybacking off of what you said about rivalry and everything. So in this rivalry, DC leads 5-3, and DC's won 2 out of the last 3. DC dominated in the start, and with DC almost returning pretty much a chunk of that championship team. Battlehawks, I hate to say this, but a lot of good players got poached to go to the Storm. So you're going to have brand new players, a brand new system, brand new coach. The only thing that's there is the dome. And I'm big about home field advantage. I think it's going to help it, but I don't see it helping enough to help the Battlehawks, have victory.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough environment for DC, but it's nothing that they're not used to. So on final thoughts on that, guys, before we move on to the next game.
I just think the Battlehawks are going to be fun to watch this year, especially if AJ Smith can bring that offense along with the receiving core they have. I mean, you got Hakeem Butler, Jacour Person, Justin Smith is added, still bringing back Frank Darby, Gary Jennings, Blake Jackson. I mean, they're so deep and they've been intact, that receiving core. So they're also their wide receiver coach is Austin Prohl, who's played alongside of them. In fact, in Seattle for the Sea Dragons, he played with Blake Jackson and Jacour Person. So that'll be really fascinating to see how Silvers distributes the ball there. And I think they have the best running back tandem in the league with Jarvian Howard and Kayvon Latulis. And that may be something that a lot of people are going to give me crap for, but I believe it. I think those are the best 2 as far as a tandem of running backs go in the league.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how AJ uses them. It's of note, and last time I checked the roster, Royce, you might have to double check me on that one, but only kept 1 tight end and something like 6 receivers.
Yeah, they're receiver heavy, so they aren't going to be using the tight end spot at all, very much. I mean, they'll use it on goal line D or goal line, if they're trying to run it in, and he's basically going to be a blocking tight end. The other thing I need to mention about the Battlehawks is they brought in one of the best linebackers in the league in Jordan Williams.
Yes, sir, Jay Will.
To match him, I mean, they already have Pitta Tom with Pinu and Travis Feeney coming off the edge. And with Jordan Williams locking up the middle, man, that's going to be tough for any team to get past that mid-range. So,
yeah, Jordan Williams, one of the leading tacklers in the UFL and all the way back to the XFL, one of my favorite players and a former Brahma. I believe Luke Barku, who was with the Brahmas not this season, but the previous season, also joined that roster. So that defense is going to be outstanding. Yeah. It's just going to be a matter of if the offense can be consistent and move that ball and convert and get out of 3rd and long like they were with San Antonio quite a bit.
They also have Neville Clark, AJ Thomas, both previous Stallions guys. Jordan Mosley comes over, previous Brahma. Daniel Isom, another ex-Stallion. So they picked up a few Stallions guys, which I think is good for them. They needed more depth at defense, and they got it, I think. Now, where they might be lacking is they lost a lot of offensive linemen. They only have 3 returning, but they do have Mike Panasuk, who is one of the best centers in the league, but all their guards and tackles kind of got lost to the Storm, which is going to hurt them.
Definitely. And we haven't even talked about line play. Line play is so crucial, especially the first 3 or 4 weeks of the UFL. If you're a new fan, it does take a time for the offensive line to gel and to get used to each other and the scheme as well. So if you're new, just kind of bear that in mind. That offensive play might be a little bit sloppy, and like we were talking about at the beginning of the show, it's going to give the advantage to the defenses. All right, so we're going to move on to Game 3, the game that I'm most looking forward to. The Houston Gamblers, newly renamed Houston Gamblers, at the newly renamed or newly recitted Dallas Renegades. I'm going to give the lead to DeMarcus. He covers the Dallas Renegades for us. DeMarcus, thoughts on the game?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the league for going back to Houston Gamblers. That way I can hate Houston without a guilty conscience. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was an XFL Roughnecks loyal. So, but no, this game. So I wish this is one of those games where I wish they could have played more than one time a year, because I think this.
Yeah.
Dallas has Dallas and Houston. They kind of already don't like each other just as cities. You know, they compete when it comes to skyline and everything like that. But I wish they could kind of duke it out a little bit more. I am gonna give the nod though to Dallas for a couple of reasons. Number one, player continuity. I think you know pretty much what your offensive pieces are going to be this year. You know who's going to be quarterbacking. Nobody's going to really move Perez off of that right now. Maybe next year, but I think this year it's still his job. And because you know who's the quarterback, you kind of know what you're going to be able to. You know what you're going to be doing. And they're bringing back a couple of really good receivers. They're bringing back Tyler Vaughns. They did lose Javonte Payton, but they also have Burnett. They got Drake Stoops coming in. They got a couple of good pieces. And so I think that they are kind of like – they're kind of like what the Battlehawks are, where it's like you know you got a good quarterback. You know you've got Jacour Pearson, and you know you've got – what's the other guy? Hakeem Butler. If you know you've got those three pieces, you know it's at least going to be a good show. And so that's one of the things I say about Dallas is they're going to give you a good show. The thing that I think is going to make a difference this year is going to be coaching, because my feeling from Stoops, I won't say that he was mailing it in, but I think he was a guy that kind of saw that retirement was kind of around the corner. And that's just kind of the energy that I kind of felt off of him. Whereas with Neuheisel,
we call that delegation. We delegate, you know.
No, seriously. I think Stoops. I mean, it's without really getting into a bunch of other things. It wasn't simply that that he was delegating. I think he kind of was like, I got one more year and I'm done.
No, I got you. That's something that I saw too. And when you said not phoning it in, that exact phrase would be the exact phrase that I would have used to describe the situation. We're going to come back to DeMarcus, but Rick and Royce, let's go with Rick first. What are your thoughts on the game?
You know, I'm digging the Renegades. I like the fact that they brought back more of the Renegade instead of going with the R. I feel like it's a different venue, but this team is very much similar as last year. And I think Luis Perez has enough experience leading the players that I really feel confident in the Renegades winning here. I feel like I just don't know enough about Houston to I love their jerseys. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't feel like I know enough about them yet to really say they're going to give it everything a shot. And I feel like almost everyone is in the same boat because most of the rankings I see has Houston towards the bottom. So I think this will definitely be a good opportunity for Houston to get some eyes out and see what players are going to be the big people. But I feel like we all know the Renegades from the past few years, and with Luis Perez, I feel like we all have faith in him to lead the Dallas team on Saturday.
Yeah, and the rankings have been weird. We'll go into detail about that later. But this game would have been perfect for Zom had he not been cut short with us, because he actually his breakdown had the Gamblers. I want to say he had them in playoff contention.
Yeah,
so
he did.
With his in-depth analysis, and it kind of swayed me a little bit. And I'm kind of not be swayed this year. I'm trying to kind of put everybody else to the side and come up with my own thoughts and stuff. But with the Gamblers, I think they're a crapshoot. You never know. They could be one of those teams that surprises somebody and sneaks into the playoffs. And I got some more to talk on this, but I'm going to go to Royce. Thoughts on the game?
Well, I think it's going to be good. This might be the best matchup as far as I think they're going to be really close, both of them. But I think in the end, the consistency of that offense being led by a true leader is going to make the difference. I think he's Luis Perez over Nolan Henderson, if you want to put it that way. They win that matchup. Now, I think Houston defense is better, but they do have the Renegades have Donald Payne. Donald Payne. They're bringing over Quinterio Cole from the Battlehawks. They have Armani Marsh, who's really good. Ajene Harris. Taco Charlton's coming back. Willie Taylor. They've got some really key pieces. They bring in Dominique Davis, who spent some time in the NFL. But they also poached some other guys like Emmanuel Butler and Greg Ward on offense. And Greg Stoops coming in, I think, is huge. So don't sleep on the Renegades, but the Gamblers D is also something to watch because this is why Zom likes them, because their defense has Anthony Hines coming over from DC, as well as they have Markel Roby, Marvin Moody, Malik Fisher. So they got two of the best defenders from DC on their team. That's huge.
Fisher, yeah. They did.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. And they have Eli Walker, who was on the Showboats last year. He was, I think, underrated. They're really solid on defense. So I think their offense is where they're going to be just stymied. I don't think they're going to be great. Although they brought in Jontre Kirkland, I don't think they brought in enough pieces, and they don't have a premier quarterback. I like Nolan Henderson, but I don't think he's a premier quarterback. So I think that's where they're going to be hurt, is on the offensive side.
Right. Definitely. Now, before we go back to the questions, guys, and talk about this, I'm going to drop this little bit of information on you. Like DeMarcus was talking about, we want to bring things from a fan's point of view, fan's perspective here on this show and with our social media content. So to that end, the Dallas Renegades have a super fan group called Los Bandidos. These guys, you've seen them on the field. Don't ask me what they did to Billy last season. Okay, we're not going to talk about Billy last season. They invited us last year to the opening kickoff tailgate and preseason get together with the San Antonio Brahmas and the Dallas Renegades. And Luis Perez walks in and walks straight up to these guys and knows them. And I'm like, you actually know. He knows you on your first name and he knows who you are. So these guys are very involved with the organization. So they're having a tailgate in the gold lot. It is the season ticket member lot, but you can park in the red lot and walk over. I highly recommend. They're opening up at noon. Go get some food, get some drinks, have a good time, talk some smack. And the Houston Gamblers fans, I already know some of you guys already know some of the Los Bandidos, but if you're new and you want a tailgating experience that's different from everywhere else in the UFL, definitely go to this tailgate. The gold lot, okay, Los Bandidos, and also Superfan Brahma Babe will be attending that game as well. Since we lost our Brahmas, Brahma Babe is kind of rebranded a little bit, and she's been spreading UFL awareness all over the world. So if you want to see her, you can follow me on Twitter, and I will be reposting all of this. So let's get back to the game. I just want to mention some of that. And if you guys take pictures, share them with us, let us know questions, comments, all that. I want this information, guys. We want to keep you guys involved. But let's get back to the game. I want to talk about quarterbacks, and I want to talk to DeMarcus first. What do you think about Neuheisel coming out and saying Luis Perez is QB1? Now, with all these teams, everybody's announcing their starters. But with a couple of the teams, there seems to be a little bit, he's the starter for now. Do you think Luis Perez falls into that category? Do you think they're 2 and 3, the guys that they got on the bench, getting any opportunities this year or this week?
I mean, it's like the Cowboys saying Dak Prescott's going to be QB1. I mean, it's kind of like, well, I mean, who else is it going to be? I think those other guys will get in. just because of the nature of what I know Newhouse's trying to do. He's trying to get these guys taped. He wants these guys to develop. So he's going to get those other quarterbacks in, but they're not going to. He also wants to win, so they're not going to take significant snaps away from Perez in terms of maybe playing a whole quarter or something like that, unless Perez has a slump. If he starts to not perform well, then you might see somebody else get in. But other than that, it'll kind of be similar to what you saw with Stoops, where they may have certain design packages that are just for that particular guy.
But within those packages, and this is not to cut you off, but I dislike very much. I coach a little bit of Little League football. And there's an old adage: if you've got two quarterbacks, you've got none. But that isn't always true. Sometimes you got a guy who's waiting in the wings, looking to get some reps and then his opportunity. So I feel like if you're gonna put somebody in, don't do it for one package play, or give them at least at the very minimum a series. At the most, give them a quarter and let them go. Give them one where they don't have to worry about. This guy is going to get the hook, so you're going in. Tell them no. Middle of the second quarter to halftime is all yours, or beginning of the third quarter is all yours. I'm not in favor of this platooning, but if you're going to do it, it's going to be done in the first couple of weeks of the season. But I don't like the packages. Guys, your thoughts on that?
Well, I just think that fans also want their teams to make the playoffs, so I don't think fans want to see glorified tryouts, each week. I think they want their team to win. So maybe at the very, very beginning of the season, when you're trying to feel people out, you can kind of do a little bit of a rotation. Or later on in the season, when your team's out of playoff contention, then you can do some things like that. But I think as long as you've got something to play for, I think people want to see the starter. So I don't know how much you can take those guys out just to kind of do what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in too. Sorry,
go ahead, Royce.
Mike Nolan last year, look what hell he caught when he kind of did a one quarter here, one quarter there thing. It didn't work.
That was coming.
Well, I think it's a lesson learned, and I think probably Neuheisel understands that he has a choice to make. He's going to go with a winning quarterback, and I believe he's going to stick with Perez for the most part, unless he starts, like if he has a slump of 2 games where he's just throwing pick after pick and not getting anywhere, that's when they need to make a change. But until then, until you see that, I don't think he's going to give too many, certainly not like a whole quarter to somebody else just for the sake of doing it.
And keep in mind also that Neuheisel likes to run more of an air raid kind of type offense. So it depends on how well those guys that are behind Perez can fit that kind of a system.
Yeah.
Rick, what are your thoughts? I've been following Luis Perez for at least 6 seasons.
Who are you, James Baker?
I've always been to. What'd you say?
Nothing. I didn't say anything.
So I have a lot of faith in him. I feel like, like you guys are saying, if he's off to a great start, he's the man there. They don't call him the Spring King for nothing. And I think he's one of the big names that has attention on it, especially quarterback play. I think if they get in a slump, I feel like, and they drop in the standings, don't forget it's 10 weeks. I mean, if you're not pulling your weight off the bat, he got traded from Vegas and look what happened. He ended up in Arlington and took him to the championship. So if he's not pulling his weight, maybe they bench him, or who knows, maybe he gets benched, traded, and then Louisville ends up being champion. Who knows? But like I said, it's a short season. You need to have your guys up and running. They have a short training camp, so it's really hard to get everything, really flowing. You got to give it at least 2 weeks before you really know what kind of team you have. But then you have 8 weeks left, and that's it. So it's off to the races.
Right. Let me say one more thing, just before I know you got to move off of it, but if you hear game footage of Perez talking, this guy is a leader. This guy is a leader among men. I mean, this guy, he takes the huddle, and that's his team. So even if he hits sort of a performance slump, I don't know if you can just replace that leadership, that mental toughness. I remember seeing him in the red zone. Red zone, he went to the huddle. He was like, "No stupid penalties." You know, he just
Yeah.
had that presence of mind. He has that command.
Yeah.
So I don't
When
know.
he changed the snap count, he was reminding everybody, "Don't jump. I changed the count. Don't jump."
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm all in for Perez. But I got to play devil's advocate and I got to look at things. But I don't agree with platooning and doing you're going in for one or two plays. I don't like doing that. If you're gonna do it, make it a specific time. But you can't again put the game at risk. Um, we'll move on the picks on this one. Let's move on to the final game of the weekend. Aviators at Storm. Rick, bring us in.
So Anthony Beck is now the coach of the Storm. You have Ted Ginn Jr. With the Aviators. The Storm are playing in they're not playing in Camping World. This is a totally different style. You're playing I can't think of the soccer team off the top of my head, but it's a soccer stadium. It's definitely going to be a lot more intimate than any other team has played in Orlando. You've had the Rage at Camping World as well. I think Beck brings a lot of experience. And I like their quarterbacks. I feel like they had a guy, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, who was with Cleveland. Anthony
DTR.
Beck likes him. So I got a feeling there's going to be some definitely good chemistry there. And I feel like for Beck, this is almost like his hometown team. And I feel like because of how everything went with St. Louis, I feel like he's got a chip on his shoulder to literally say, hey, guys, I'm the guy who knows what to do. So I'm going to take the Storm in this one. I feel like the Storm definitely have the talent, and I think they have the coaching leadership to advance and win over Ginn's Aviators.
Yeah.
Royce, DeMarcus?
I'll jump in and talk a little bit about the Storm, and before I talk about the Columbus Aviators. Now, I like both teams. I think they're both going to be good. Coaching, it definitely goes to Orlando, but I think of the brand new quarterback or coaches who have never coached before at the pro level, I think Columbus has the best one of the three. Or I guess you could include Prohl in there, so maybe the second best one of the four, because I think Prohl is going to be really good. But here's the guy that I think makes the difference for the Storm, and that's Tavante Beckett. They brought him over from the Brahmas last year, and he's so good at linebacker that he's going to help take them to the top, as well as they brought in a few other guys. Chris Garrett from the Battlehawks they have on their team, Nate Metter. So they brought in a ton of Battlehawks, but they also have guys like Mark Gilbert, who was on the Stallions and previously the Showboats. Their big pickup too, outside of, I would say Tavante Beckett was their biggest one, but Chris Rowland is on that team, who was the DC Defenders' best receiver last year as far as catches go. He was, I think, in 2024 should have been the special teams player of the year. And then at running back they have Jay Sean Corbin. So boy, they're just really their roster depth beats the Aviators, even though the Aviators, if I can look at them real quick, they've got a better O-line. They've got guys, let's see, like Ryan Nelson, Cole Cabral, Matt Farniak, and Chuck Filiaga, who was another ex-Brahma. Then I think tight end, this is the best tight end room in the league with Oaks and Mack both coming in, and they can both help block too. But Aviators are no slouch. And I think Jalen McClendon and Toa Tua as a core backfield, that's tough. Now they're a little light in receiver, even though they have Kiki Chisholm. Outside of that, well, they have Jalen Moore, but they aren't deep. Until I see the new guys play, I'm going to call them light at receiver, and a little light on the defensive side too. So I think Orlando gets the nod.
Don't forget.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say with Orlando, you brought up Tavante Beckett, who's a fan favorite with San Antonio. Absolutely love the guy, high energy on and off the field. But can you imagine, and I keep throwing this out there, had this roster kind of stayed together prior to the dispersal. And what I mean by that is guys like Jordan Williams signing with the Stallions before ending up in St. Louis, Delonte Scott, John J. Kirkland, who had actually signed with Dallas before ending up with Houston. If these guys had not been able to re-sign prior to the demise of the Brahmas, and they went to the Storm, I think they potentially could have been a playoff contender with Anthony Beckett as their head coach. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think they're going to be a borderline playoff contender as is. I think they're going to be really good. I think I have them fourth or fifth. They're going to be a bubble. They're going to be in the playoff race for sure.
Oh, yeah, and I can't wait till we talk about picks and power and rankings and all that kind of stuff. But I'm saving some of my good stuff here. But DeMarcus, you want to finish this off for us?
Yeah, I think Columbus, out of all of the new teams, I think they're the ones that I think can really, really do something this year. Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I saw a post recently. Didn't Lynn Bowden Jr. get picked up by them? I know he was supposed to be with with Louisville.
That was originally reported.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
James Larson had reported that he was on the roster, and then when the roster came out an hour or so later, he was not on it, and that was yesterday. So I haven't followed it up with that. Royce, if you've got any information on that, if you can elaborate.
Same information. Yeah, that's exactly what I had heard as well.
Yeah, and I went on his X page. I didn't see anything on there about that there. But I am. I'll just say this one thing. I am interested to see what Jalen McClellan can become with a pretty good offensive coordinator this year. I think,
and a good O-line,
and a good running back crew.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm ready to move on to the picks, guys. I'm super excited. I know this episode's running really, really long. It's just because we had to do an intro for our first episode to kind of introduce our audience to some of these guys here. So we're going to jump right to the picks. I'm going to go first, and I'm going to explain my picks. Everybody picked Birmingham. I went with Birmingham just because I didn't feel like the Kings could upset them, even though I kind of want them to. I'm going blessed with my gut this year and trying to be a little bit more analytical. Again, everybody went with DC, so I went with DC. I just feel like they're too strong, even though they're playing in St. Louis. My first upset, and I don't really even think it's that big of an upset, is I'm going to take the Gamblers on the road to upset the Dallas Renegades. Also kind of like border upset. I'm going to take the Columbus Aviators to go into Orlando and beat Anthony Beck at home. So those are kind of upsets, but I kind of feel like ranking them and looking at them, I feel confident based on where I rank them. So how did your guys' rankings, how much did that kind of calculate and affect your picks? And if you could go first, Rick.
I took Louisville because I was thinking they have a pretty good running back crew, which most people aren't talking about. And if you go with home, I'm all about home field. If you look at my picture this week, I'm taking 3 out of the 4 home teams. So I feel like the hometown experience, they're definitely pushing for experience. And I think that's going to add to it this year. And I think the home teams, with it being, smaller stadiums and everything, it's really going to make home field advantage one of the key parts of this league. So I feel like I got to take Louisville off of that. Just the gut feeling. And I think I love AJ McCarron, but I don't think he's coach material yet. So, I'll probably get some bad feedback for that. But that's why I'm going Louisville. And what I have a question for you is, I feel like you're going against the grain here. It feels like everyone else here is picking DC, Dallas, and then Orlando, and then you're going against all of us. You're trying to go for the win early, aren't you?
I blanked my mind and just went, who do I like? And then I realized when you're talking, I picked all roadies, didn't I?
Yeah.
I picked all road warriors. So I'm either going to be 4-0 and 0-4, somewhere in between. So I'll be okay with that. But yeah, of all of our picks, there were only 3 picks that were different. You picked Louisville, and then I went against the grain with the Gamblers and the Aviators. But we're going to have Royce talk about his picks a little bit. Royce, go ahead.
First of all, I want to acknowledge chat is hilarious. So I agree. Audie West is kind of home team for the DC Defenders. So, I mean, the St. Louis Battle Dome. So they may have home advantage even in St. Louis. But as somebody who's covering St. Louis this year, I think it's just going to be a great game, period. But yeah, DC takes it there. I think their roster depth and their continuity is amazing. They have, I would consider Shannon the best coach in the league as well. So, boy, it's going to be hard to top them all year. Birmingham, I talked about their roster depth already. I picked the Renegades because I think their offense is just way better than the Gamblers' offense. Gamblers' D is going to be better, but the Renegades' offense is going to outgun them. And then the Storm have one of the best rosters in the league too. And I think the Aviators could get the upset if they can get that McClendon and Toatawa, if he can run the ball and just the way he did last year, he's a monster. So I could see that one. If I had to flip on any game, it'd be that Aviators Storm game. But I think either way, we've got 4 great matchups here, people. It's going to be a fun weekend of football.
Yeah,
Definitely. DeMarcus, let us know about your picks.
The only one that I really feel like I have anything to say about is the Storm Aviators game. That's the only one that I kind of had to scratch my head about a little bit. And I only gave the Storm the nod just because of coaching. I think that coming out of the gate, I think that Beck will be able to have his team a little more ready than the Aviators will be. That doesn't mean that it will continue throughout the whole season. The Aviators may turn out to be the better team throughout the season. But I think on day one, I think the Storm are going to be a little bit more ready to play, plus they're playing at home. So that's why I get a nod there.
Especially if DTR can show what he's got at QB. If he's what everybody's saying he can be, yeah.
You know, I with those, I kind of went with who's got a more solid defense. And I think that the Aviators would have a better chance against Orlando's defense than vice versa. And again, with those two teams, they're the most up in the air as far as rosters and things of that nature. DeMarcus, did you go already?
Yeah, I just did.
Oh, okay. Just sorry. I get ahead of myself here because I'm looking at Zoms. Now, Zoms is intentionally left blank. That's because he doesn't pick his games until a couple of days before, so he wasn't going to be able to make the deadline for this. So I'm going to leave him up there because when he does get the chance to, I'll fill him in later. And if you look at the very last column, it says AFP, which is us, the Alternative Football Panel. It's an aggregate score basically of our pick'ems. So I think, and one thing that I've noticed with our work and our content is when we put our stuff together, we usually come out pretty accurate, I think. So what are you guys' thoughts on the picks, AFP overall picks, anything with these picks? What are your guys' thoughts?
I just think it's going to be a fun week. And I do hope there's a couple upsets. But overall, I think DC is just going to have everybody's going to have a tough time beating them all year long because they're so deep and just they won it last year. Why wouldn't they again? That's my question. So
I will say it's going to be interesting with all the brand new coaches. Who gets in a hole and how do they overcome that? Because it's not like we have all the coaches from last year. I mean, the only one that's actually fully over is DC. Everyone else is pretty much a new coach or a new team. So it all depends. If you get in a hole, how are they going to respond? And I think that's going to be the key matchup. It's not the fans or the players. What coach is going to literally overcome that's brand new and figure out what to do to win?
Yeah. And then my last question of the season is going to be how Neuheisel turns the Renegades around. The Renegades the past couple of years have been a 7-3 team disguised as a 3-7 team.
Yeah.
And it's just because they just could not pull out close games. And I want to see if that just the coaching difference there, if that'll be enough just to flip them to being an actual 7-3 team. I think they actually had a talent to be.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I do love the way he's promoting the league too. So I'm a big Neuheisel guy. I think he can do it. So we'll see.
Yeah, and he adds to the availability. I've seen Alan Alford, as a friend of ours, do interviews with him. He's made himself available to the media, and he's not been afraid to talk. And that's one of the benefits of Rapoli taking over and getting more social media awareness. But we're going to move on to the next segment, and we're going to start to wrap this up, guys. I know we're going long, but this is our first show. We're figuring it out. So we're going to go with our rankings, guys. This, again, was our aggregate of all of ours. It was Rick, Royce, DeMarcus, Zom Fox, and myself. We all ranked them, and then we took those rankings and we put them all together, and this is what we ended up with. What I'm finding out watching all these different podcasts and content creators is 1 and 8, everybody's got them the same. 2, 3, kind of the same, not too much different. 7, it's kind of where it's at. But 4, 5, and 6, Rick, 4, 5, and 6 is where it's going to be interesting. That is going to be where your contention for the final playoff spot is. Rick, if you could pull that up.
Yes, sir. It's loading.
Okay. Sorry about that. So let me get you guys' thoughts on our rankings overall and then the battle for the last playoff position. DeMarcus, if you want to go first.
I think kind of similar to last year, 3 through 6 is going to be the section of the ranking that's going to have the most volatility there. I can easily see if Dallas gets hot, I can easily see them being 4 or 3. If Columbus staggers out of the gate, they can drop down to 6 or maybe even shoot up to 3 or 2. I can see that. I don't just on the strength of having good coaching, I don't think Orlando is necessarily going to stay at 7. I mean, with power rankings, it's one of those things where somebody's got to be 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that they're a bad team, but
yeah, with so few teams, it's like, do I really want to put them at the bottom quarter? But the bottom quarter is only 2 teams. It's not like the NFL where the bottom quarter, is like 8 teams.
Right.
So it's always going to be real tight in there. And I'm finding a lot of content creators are stuck between. Actually, most of them are stuck between 2 and 6. But Rick, if we could pull that back up, if it's ready now.
Yes, sir. And actually, I would like to say I actually have Orlando as 4th. I see Orlando actually as a playoff team. Like you guys said with Anthony Beck, I feel like he's due for a playoffs, and it would be really interesting if he got Orlando to the playoffs and farther than he did with St. Louis.
Just to piss off the Battlehawks fans.
I do have Columbus just 1 spot. And it's not 4, but it's 1 spot higher personally than Orlando. I do like them at 4, but I think they could be really realistically 5 or 6. Dallas, the same thing, and Houston, the same thing. So it's going to be interesting. And I need to look at these schedules down the road to see how they play each other and what matchups are going to be relevant to the playoffs. Guys, your thoughts on 4, 5, and 6?
I think it all comes down to the coaching, and if the brand new coaches to this league, which is basically all but one of them, and I mean, unless you count Beck, that I think it's going to really make a difference game 1. After we know game 1, this rankings could totally change, because if we find out AJ McCarron can't coach for crap and the Battlehawks suck, not the Battlehawks, the Stallions.
Yeah.
And if they stink, then
the Battlehawks still suck.
Hey, now I think they're going to be great this year. Actually, I think the change in coach might actually be good for them to get them over the hump. So we'll see if that offensive coordinator that they brought in, AJ Smith, can air it out. They might have the elite offense outside of DC that brings them to the championship against DC. That's my super early prediction. But also, I don't know, man. They don't have a good O-line, so that could be a terrible take. But coaching week 1, that's where we're going to know if teams are going to be good or bad.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and with the alternative football panel, we're going to keep track of all this. We're going to keep the receipts. We're going to keep track of it all season long and see who who got the closest, because it as much work and research as you can do, you still never know. That's why they play the games, you know. But I think there's lots of storylines to be written, and I think the battle for 4, 5, and 6 should be probably the most interesting storyline heading into the UFL season.
Cool.
Yeah, as far as 6, just want to say one quick thing about the Gamblers. You just got to do better than Curtis Johnson. I think that's if you can do better than Curtis Johnson, I think Houston fans might be a little bit satisfied with that.
Well, I think if Sumlin can do better than Sumlin originally with the Gamblers,
Right.
I think he'd be much better. I think they lost something like 7 games by 1 score or less. I think a lot of their games went down to the last 2 minutes. So if they can get over that, and that's why they brought CJ in, but if they can get over that and kind of, I think Sumlin's got a more roster to his liking versus the Gamblers previously. So I have aspirations and hopes for the Gamblers. I think they're kind of due, given the fact that they were the Gamblers, the Roughnecks, Gamblers, the Roughnecks, the Brahmas, the Gamblers now. You know, I think they're kind of due.
Yeah.
All right, if you guys are ready to wrap it up, Rick, this is your time to shine. Wrap it up for us, guy.
Yeah, so something I started this past season is called AFN Throwback, where I pop in a VHS or DVD. It really depends on the year. And we run it back to basically some of the good old times with the XFL original, and then you have your your current XFL, and soon we're going to be playing some UFL highlights. And we have some 2 big rivalries going on this weekend. Which is we touched about St. Louis and DC. DC's won 2 of the last 3, and then you have Houston, and it's this I found interesting. Dallas won for the first time last year. Otherwise, Houston had led that series 4-0, and I think Dallas is going to turn the table and actually keep going now.
Interesting. Yeah, I love all these little subplots that are starting to come out. This is the kind of the thing that I live for. I love looking at hidden reasons for motivation, and why a game could take a different shape than we were expecting. So little things like this that I love. I love tidbits and facts. Guys, any thoughts on this?
No, that's pretty cool to see.
That's it. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Get your popcorn, get your snacks ready. It's Tuesday. You got Wednesday and Thursday to do your shopping. Make sure you're ready for Friday Night Football on Fox.
Yeah, it's fun.
Now, with the
forward. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, normally when we wrap our show up, we're going to have Rick. He's going to run us through anything he feels like he needs to add. I do want to touch on the AFN throwback videos, Rick. I love them. Keep them coming, especially when I get to see my Brahmas, where we get to relive big moments in the XFL. I love that content. Keep it coming. And guys, we're not afraid to share our content, not just our content, but if there's other content creators that we like and we enjoy, pay attention to our socials, and we'll put our socials up. Follow us, and we'll get you connected to the right people. Rick, if you want to wrap it up.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight. It's been, kind of like a birthday celebration, I guess you would say. And, it's a good time to start. We've been working on different projects, and it feels awesome to get everything rolling. And we're going to keep this going, guys. And I hope everyone enjoy this. If it's been an hour and a half, but it honestly feels like it's been quick. And it's nice. So if there's anything else you guys want to see, any stories, I mean, we cover different areas. We have historians here. We have play-by-play. We have, video games. So we got a little bit of everything going on. And if there's anything we can do to help your experience, just let us know. Right now we're on X and YouTube. We're going to try getting this out to more people. Spread the word. We're more than happy. And my favorite part so far this past week was making some of these awesome graphics for y'all. So feel free to share them. And anything we can do to help, just let us know.
Hey, Rick, for your birthday, I was going to say for your birthday, I'm not going to sing happy birthday. How's that?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that.
And Rick, thank you for all your hard work. You and Royce especially, but especially Rick, has put in tons of work behind the scenes to make this happen. And a small, slight happy birthday. We'll keep that on the down low. But thank you. This has been a fun experience. It's been stressful, but good stress. We want to keep it going. I don't want to hog too much more. I'll let Royce and DeMarcus wrap it up before Rick sends us home.
Go ahead, DeMarcus.
I don't have much. I just look forward to bringing you guys some in-game experience. If you are in the area, in the Dallas area, Dallas-Fort Worth area, come out to a Renegades game, especially if you have a family. Kids have a lot of fun. We're there with the mascot and with the cheerleaders and everything. It's just a great family experience. So if you're near one of the UFL teams, check it out.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be an awesome season. So thanks everyone in the chat. I appreciate you showing up. Keep commenting and share it with your friends as we get established. It's going to be fun to keep this going and do a weekly show. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, guys. It was good to see you guys.
All right.
Yeah, you too.
Rick,
Yeah.
send us home, Rick. Thank you,
Hey,
everybody,
thanks,
for
everyone.
watching.
Enjoy the games this weekend. Shout us out on X. And we look forward to seeing everyone here every Tuesday night, 10 o'clock. It might be a little late. You know, we're all coming from different parts of the U.S., but come join us 10 o'clock on every Tuesday night. And it's going to be fun talking about this past week 1, and we'll preview week 2 for you as well.
Yep.
9 p.m. Central.
Night,
If
everyone.
Birmingham loses to an expansion team, the season's over. So we'll come back and talk about it. All right,
Take
guys.
care.
Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.